Hi there everyone, and welcome to this Yin Yoga practice. Today's practice is going to be exploring the meridian lines of the kidney and the bladder. So as you may already know, Yin is derived from Chinese medicine. So unlike most yoga practices which come from the Indian healthcare system linked with Ayurveda, Yin actually draws more upon traditional Chinese medicine. So we work really with meridians. We're still working with energy, and of course we're still always working with the physical body of muscles and bones. So when we work with the kidney and bladder meridian, we're exploring the physical imbalances such as headaches, anything relating to the lower back, and particularly anything relating to the urinary system. Emotionally, we're working with fear and contemplation. So this is a very water element based practice. So I've got, as you can see, quite a lot of stuff around me. You probably won't need all of this, but I just want to give you a few different options. I've got a couple of yoga bricks, a couple of cushions, a bolster and a blanket. Just a reminder that I am pregnant whilst recording this video, so I'm not going to be staying in the postures. Some postures are fine for pregnant women to be in, but I've not designed this to be suitable for pregnancy. So I will demonstrate postures for you, but then really you can just settle in on your own. So the first one we're going to take is the reclining butterfly posture, and you can use bricks, or you can use cushions for this posture. You can also do this with or without a bolster for your spine. If you're going to take a bolster for your spine, I recommend you have some support for your head, like a cushion or a folded blanket, as I have here. And then you're going to slide down. So you're either going to lie flat on your back, or if you prefer, some support for the spine with a bolster or pillow. And as you lower down, so that your head is fully supported, let the soles of the feet come together and take your knees wide. So you want some support under the thighs. Now we do want to feel some sense of stretch for the inner thighs, but it should be comfortable and easy to maintain. If you feel a pulling sensation, please put more support under your spine. It's not a good thing. What we want to avoid is stretching into the ligaments. And actually, ironically, the more open you are in the hips, the more vigilant you want to be about having some support. Because if your muscles are already very flexible and open, the chances are that you are going to stretch into those ligaments, which you cannot then unstretch. So we've got some support under the legs, still feeling that stretch through the inner thighs, and then just letting the arms relax. So the main focus is really on beginning to open through the hips here. Of course, if you're using a bolster under the spine, as I am, you're also getting a gentle back bend and opening for the front of the body. But our focus really is coming down, dropping down into this pelvic region. Do you feel free to pop a blanket over yourself or use an eye pillow? We'll be here for a few minutes. And as you settle and arrive in the posture, feel that you are also arriving into your practice. So whatever time of day you're practicing, whatever time of year, welcome yourself now. You've already done the hard bit, which is getting the mat out, pressing play. And now really just entering into this quiet practice. A practice which really does invite us into that quality of contemplation linked with the bladder meridian. Contemplation which we can really find just through that act of slowing down, moving inwards. And just reconnecting with ourselves. It can be so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, ticking things off the to-do list. We sometimes underestimate the value of really being more quiet and more still, of slowing down. So I want to offer you as much silence as I can in this class. Know that I am here with you. If there's periods of silence, I will let you know. But just so that you can find the peacefulness of the practice. And so we'll enter into that first period of silence now, just for a couple of minutes. Being with your body and being with your breath. Now to come out of this posture, you might feel you want to put the hands just underneath the thighs to lift the legs up, soles of the feet flat to the floor. And then just roll gently to the side. So if you're on a bolster, just roll off the bolster totally onto one side. And from here, use your arms to come up to sit. From here, you might like to take some height to sit up on. So I've got a folded blanket. You might have a block or a cushion that you prefer to sit up. We're going to start with both legs straight. And then we're going to bend up that right leg and bring the sole of the foot to the inside of the left thigh. Start with a breath in, grow tall. And then as you breathe out, slowly fold forward. So this leg is in a similar position to the last posture, but a bit closer to the groin. So feeling that stretch in the back of your left leg. So working with this inner thigh, this is connecting with the kidney meridian that I mentioned. Working with the back of the leg is connecting with that bladder meridian. And like all our postures today, taking it slow and steady. So this isn't about touching your toes, not about getting your head to your knee, not about getting anywhere. It's just about just being here in this moment. Maintaining that easy breath. And that's not to say that you just have to be very still the entire time. You can explore the exact position of your hands. So if at any point you feel like going a bit further forward, then you can reach the arms further forward. You might stay in this fairly upright position. This upright position will be engaging the muscles around your spine. So it's not totally yin because then there's a little bit of muscle engagement, but this can feel really good if you're trying to work on your posture or strengthen the muscles in your back. You're still, of course, very much stretching the back of this left leg, opening this right hip. But if you want to take the stretch into your spine, you can also let your head just drop. So you're rounding through the spine. And different things suit different people. If your right knee is not towards the floor, please don't worry about it. You can do this posture if your knee is higher. You might find that you don't come as far forward, but that's okay. Nothing bad happens if your knee is in the air, but if you're not so comfortable with the knee in the air, you can always put some support under that leg. That makes you feel a bit safer. Notice any habitual patterns your body goes into. It's quite common that the shoulders jump up to the ears. We want to keep the shoulders really soft, keep the muscles of the face quite soft. So try not to keep looking at the screen. Once you're in the posture, you're in the posture. As I mentioned, there's not really anywhere to go. And also, I'm not staying in the postures as long as you. So do bear that in mind. Looking at the screen kind of makes our eyes pop out a little bit. So we just want to avoid looking too much at the screen. And again, just retain that softness. You can even close your eyes or just have the gaze down. Of course, if your head is hanging heavy, your gaze will be back towards your own body. Breath just stays easy. You've got just over 1 more minute here. When you're ready, use your hands and your arms, push yourself up, come up slowly, particularly if your head's been hanging low for some time. Guide that right knee up, lengthen through the right leg, and then we'll take that on the other side, drawing that left foot into the right thigh, using the inhale to prepare to lengthen through the spine, and the exhale to come forward. We've done one side, of course, now we've got the other. And as you've probably already gathered, you can't rush this. You just have to wait for the time to tick by. And often the mind doesn't enjoy this, gets a bit agitated or bored, looks for distractions. And all of that is very natural. But just be with that. So rather than responding to everything the mind throws at you, just be with your thoughts, your feelings, whilst continuing to work with your body and your breath. Just like the last side, you can stay upright with the spine, you can round your spine forwards. Whatever suits you best. We'll spend the remainder of the time here in some silence. Just 1 minute left. And then gradually, using your hands and your arms, once again, push yourself up to sit. And release that left leg. You can give the legs a little wiggle on the floor. Point, flex your feet a few times. Well done. And then we'll come to our next posture. So we're coming into another forward bend. If you've got bricks, these can be quite helpful here. So just have them set out in front of you. And we're going to take square pose or simple cross-legged pose. So with the legs crossed, we have the right leg in front of the left. As much as possible, you want your ankles to be sliding under your knees. This will help to open your hips more. So just do that as best as you can. When you look down, you should see that there's a kind of triangle of the mat just in between the legs. If you want to work fully with square pose, which is a much deeper hip opener, then you can lift up that right leg and put the right foot on top of the left knee, so that this right knee is above the left foot. Now the knee doesn't have to touch the foot. For some of you, if you're very open in the hips, it will. As you can see, for me, there's a few inches gap here. Your knee might be even higher up. That's fine. We are going to look to come forward though, so just bear in mind the higher the knee, sometimes the harder it is to fold forward. I'm actually personally going to choose just to stick with this for demonstration purposes. So choose what's going to work best for you today. Start with your inhale, lengthen through your spine. And then as you exhale, folding forward. So you can have your hands on the floor, but if you have bricks, and I recommend you use them, because what it does is it helps to keep the breastbone really long and lengthening. So this is a posture we're not looking to round the spine or collapse the head. We actually want to keep the spine more upright and erect. And it's good to have your hands at least shoulder width apart. I always like to go wider than shoulder width because I can sometimes hold some tension in my shoulders. So if that applies for you, you can take the hands as wide as feels good. Certainly don't go too narrow. At the minimum, shoulder width apart. And we're just going to come back into the breath. And back into some silence. One more minute. Bring softness to your shoulders, to your face, particularly around your jaw. Breathe into your body. And then walk your hands or your bricks all the way back up to sitting. Change the cross of the legs. So if your right leg's been on top, you might need to lift that leg. In fact, before we change the cross of the legs, let's just take our windshield wide part action. So slow or fast. You can really let the knees drop to one side, then the other. Just see what feels good. And then let's come back to cross-legged, left leg in front or left leg on top. If you're putting the left leg on top, it might look really different than on the other side. It might be higher or lower depending on that hip. So nothing to be alarmed about. If you're cross-legged, remember trying to slide ankles underneath, toes facing forwards. Take your breath in. Breathing out, folding forward, hands to the floor or up on bricks if you have them. Making sure that your shoulders are resisting the urge to jump up to the ears. Eyes very soft or perhaps even closed. A soft breath here. Remember, part of today's theme is about contemplation. And there can be that sense of just contemplating and reflecting how it is for you. This posture can be quite challenging for many people, particularly if you're tight in the hips. So just reflecting on how the experience is for you, how your mind responds, if there's any automatic patterns. Trying to really have that value of being reflective rather than judgmental, contemplative rather than critical. Reminding yourself that all the sensations will pass, that you're not going to be here forever, even if it might feel like it at times. Easy breath. We're about halfway there. Just a few more breaths. And then walk your hands or your bricks in towards you. Well done. Releasing through the legs, coming coming back to a little rocking action. You can do this with the feet together or wider apart, with the feet on the floor or the feet in the air, whatever feels best for you. And then we're going to change tact a little bit. So after those last couple of postures, which have been very forward facing, forward facing, we're now going to come into back bending. So opening the front body rather than closing. Now I'm going to show you using props. You're very welcome to imitate me. This actually is the version I'm going to show you, which is suitable for pregnancy, is actually lovely for most people, but it depends on how deep you want your back bend. So we're going to be taking Sphinx pose with the option of coming into seal pose. So I'm going to be placing my bricks down onto the floor. You would need bricks or some support for your arms if you wanted to take the same version as me. My bolster is going to go on the front of my pelvis. So if you're doing this without props, you're just going to lie flat on your tummy. And as you lie flat on your tummy, you're going to come down onto your forearms. So the forearms are parallel to one another, with the elbows more or less under the shoulders. And you can make this a bit easier on your back by sliding your elbows further forward. Now, because I can't lie flat on my tummy, Sphinx pose won't work for me. So I would lift straight up into seal pose. So I've got my hands on the bricks, I've got the bolster there supporting the hips, and I'm coming into that back bend of the spine. So you can also take this version, or you can start in the Sphinx pose, which might be where you stay. Remember, we're not looking for a really intense sensation. But if you do feel like going a bit deeper from Sphinx pose, you can just push into your hand to begin to straighten your arms. And the closer the arms towards your body, the deeper the back bend. And the further forward your arms, the less deep. So you have a little bit of room to play. Remember, when we work in this slower way, we don't want to go into our deepest back bend because then we've got nowhere else to go. And we can create too much aggression and intensity. So working to about 60 to 70% of your ability, modifying the posture, making it easier by sliding the hand or the elbows further forward at any point. Sometimes it's nice just to have a gentle rotation of your head here. You can have that gentle stretch of the neck, moving the head, the chin slowly from one shoulder to the next. Remember, if it gets too much, you can come out of the posture. It's actually quite nice sometimes just to lie flat on your tummy with your hands on your forehead. And you can just completely relax the spine. You've got just under 1 more minute. These back bends can be a bit more challenging in the yin practice. They require a bit more muscular effort. And also, of course, we're working with a part of the body we can feel really vulnerable with, the spine, of course, especially if you've had any injury relating to the spine or the muscles of the back. But even if you haven't, it's really the core of our being. It's what holds us up, which is why it's important that we use it, that we keep it supple and flexible and mobile, rather than letting it stagnate as it does if we just sit in a chair all day long. But it can open up a sense of vulnerability and fear, one of the emotions that we're working with this evening. So always be kind, gentle, and patient with yourself. And also know that now is time to come out of the posture. So if you're not using any props, you can just lower all the way down onto your belly, resting your forehead on the backs of your hands. And if you've been up on props, then you can push yourself back to hands and knees, move the equipment out of the way, and then make your way to child's pose. So if you're lying flat on your tummy, with your hands on your forehead on the backs of the hands, you can also now start to make your way up to child's pose. Child's pose can be done with or without the bolster, so that's your choice. The bolster generally makes it slightly more restorative, so see how you feel after that last posture and what you need. So when you come into child's pose, either with the knees together or the knees apart, either with the arms out in front or down behind, with or without a bolster to support the abdomen. Feel that you're getting that gentle stretch for your lower back. So we've just put a little bit of compression into the sacrum, into the lumbar spine. It's the compression that helps to stimulate the blood flow to the tissues and the bone there. This is what, in part, what helps to keep the bones healthy, the tissues healthy. But it's also what can lead to the kind of slightly intense feeling or feeling of vulnerability. So child's pose now, we just go to that kind of safe place, that comforting place. So perhaps just take a breath or two into the back of your body, inviting the shoulders away from the ears, inviting your tailbone to become heavy. As you exhale, letting your belly relax. And coming into some silence. If you have been turned to face onto one cheek, you could turn and face on the other cheek now if that applies. From here, with the hands just in front of the knees, push yourself up to sitting. If you've been using a bolster, move it to one side. You might want to pop it just to the left-hand side of your mat. It might come in useful later, but if not, it doesn't really matter. And we're going to come and lie down flat onto our back. So I'm actually going to demonstrate this lying on a bolster, but you don't need to do this. It would be better for you if you lie flat on your back. We're taking the happy baby pose. So this involves lying flat on the back. You'll bring both knees towards your chest. I'm just bringing one leg in for demonstration purposes. And then you can either catch hold of the thigh, the calf, or the foot, and see if you can bring the sole of the foot to face the ceiling. So you'll be doing this with both feet. So don't worry if you can't hold on to your foot. You can also just hold on to the calf or the thigh. The main thing is that you're trying to get your knees wide apart. So we come back to stretching the inner thigh, working with that kidney meridian, that emotion of fear. And you might just be still here, enjoying the breath, or you might like to have some gentle rocking from side to side. So Feel free to bring a little bit of creativity into your practice, a little bit of movement, finding the ease, keeping the jaw, the tongue, the face soft. Can be quite nice in the happy baby pose to explore straightening one leg and bending the other knee and then switching sides. If you do that, you really will rock from side to side. There's nothing to be worried about. Just make sure that you have got some space. This will take the stretch into your hamstrings a little bit more, which can feel good. And then once you are finished with happy baby pose, bring both of the knees tightly in towards your chest, give them a little squeeze, and then place the feet onto the floor. We're coming to take a twist here. If you know you're a little bit tight in the shoulders, you can take a folded blanket, fold it as thick as you need it, place it alongside the right shoulder. Not sure how well you can see that, but if I just show you on the other side. So when you're going to lie down with your arms in a T-shaped position, you can have a blanket there, but on the right-hand side. And again, this is where the bolster may or may not come in handy. So you can have it there and you can always push it out of the way if you don't want it. Lying flat on the back with the arms in a T-shaped position. So the right arm might be on a blanket. Lift your bottom and shift it over to the left. Now you can either keep your knees as they are or next to one another, or you can cross that right knee over the left. And then you can either lift your feet off the floor or keep the feet on the floor as you let both of your legs drop towards the towards the left. I might have got my left and rights mixed up then. Let me just say that again. So the hips are shifting towards the right. You might be crossing the right leg over the left. You don't have to. This crossing the legs makes it more intense. And then you're dropping the knees towards the left, either to the floor or to your support. So a reclining twist. Sometimes the body resists these postures, needs a little bit of time to soften in. So if it already feels intense, just take support. So support under the legs, support under the outstretched arms. You can choose whether your gaze is up to the ceiling, slightly to the right or slightly to the left. And this is where we'll stay for a few minutes. If you experience any niggling sensation, particularly in your sacrum at the back of your pelvis, please come out of the twist and just rest on your back. If you want to explore different arm variations, you can keep the arms in a T-shaped position. You can also bring that right arm alongside the ear, place that right hand behind your head, let your elbow draw out wide. And of course, if it gets too intense for this right shoulder, you can just rest it by your side or on your abdomen. Your eyes might close as you settle into the silence of being here. Coming into our last minute. For some people, the twist gets better and better the longer they are here. For others, the opposite is true. So please remember, listen to your body, come out sooner if you need to. And so we'll all start to think about moving out. Now, always move out in the easiest way. So for some people, they like to bring that right arm in towards them. If your legs are crossed, you might keep them crossed or uncross them. Some people are happy just to roll flat on their back. And for some people, it's more comfortable to roll completely onto their side and then their left side and then roll onto the back. So I want you to come out in what feels like the most accessible way, and then just rest flat on your back, perhaps with the arms by the side, the legs straight. Take a few breaths. And then we'll set that up on the other side. So any support you're using, like a bolster or a blanket, just carefully move that to the side. You might find you need to sit up particularly in order to move the bolster, because they're quite heavy and bulky. Starting on your back with the legs bent, arms come into this T-shaped position, perhaps some support under that left arm, lifting and shifting your hips to the left. And then either with the legs crossed or just with the knees next to one another, either with the feet on the floor or the feet lifted, let the legs drop towards the right. Taking the twist onto the other side. Allowing the initial few moments of the body responding. And then that feeling of arriving and landing. Coming back into some silence, some contemplation. Remembering you can move out of this posture at any time. Remembering those different arm positions. So that left hand this time either stays where it is, comes alongside the ear, or you place the palm behind your head. And additionally, you can relax that arm down at any point. And then coming to that time to move out of the posture, taking the easiest route, perhaps drawing that left hand in towards your body, perhaps rolling completely onto your right hand side before rolling on your back, or just rolling onto your back if that feels simplest. And then taking your time just to lie and rest flat on your back. The deep stretch for your spine, the muscles of your back, working a little bit into the shoulders and the hips. Lots of space created for your breath. Just enjoy the benefits of that long, slow twist. And then when you're ready, come and set up into your Shavasana. You might be happy just not moving exactly as you are. Some of you might prefer to be a bit more comfortable with bolsters, cushions and blankets and so on. So just take what you need. And then begin to settle down towards your mat, lying in an effortless way. Allowing your eyes to close. The body to become a little heavy. And feeling yourself relax and soften towards the mat. No effort with your body, your breath, or your mind. Just relaxation. And so, in your own time, prepare to bring your practice to a close. You might bring a little bit of movement into your body, maybe just gentle wiggling of the fingers, the toes, some circling of your ankles and wrists, maybe even stretching through the arms and the legs. Coming to roll gently onto the side, resting here. Soft with your eyes whenever you choose to reopen them. And then making your way up to sitting in a comfortable position. A little bit of length through your spine. And then we're going to inhale, extend the arms up overhead, let the palms meet, and as you exhale, draw the hands down to the heart. 2 more of those, inhaling, reaching up, exhaling, drawing the hands down, and the last one. And then pausing with the hands at the heart as you take another breath in, breathing out, bowing head to heart. And we will end the practice there. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this practice today, everyone. Do come back to it whenever you just feel that need to go a little bit more inward, to have that quieter practice, to work in a slower, deeper way with your body. I hope that you're able to take some of those aspects of contemplation and reflection into the rest of your day and your week. And I hope to see you soon. Thank you.